welcome back to Flight Time RC. Today we're going to be doing a review on this little tiny Cessna. It's called the Hawkworks 2 Cessna. It has differential thrust, 2 motors. So for steering, this motor slows down, this one speeds up to make a turn, and this one will speed up, this one will slow down, so it makes it turn like this, or this one will speed up, this one will slow down so it turns. Throttle, your elevator. Yeah, that's basically all that's to it. It has these really tiny little LiPo batteries you put in.
One cell LiPo?
Yeah.
So it's 3.7 volts.
Okay, we're gonna get this. Should I try taking it off or just...
Hey, whatever you want to do, we're gonna chuck it and see how she flies. Look at that thing go.
I think it's kind of interesting to fly. Look at that.
It just floats.
That's like the lowest throttle right there. It's like...
So it kind of porpoises a little bit on really low throttle.
It steers really good when it's in the air. Let me throttle it up. There we go. It kind of, like when you hit the throttle, it's like getting kind of close. It'll like almost kind of like stall almost. Yeah, like see it goes up, or then it kind of straightens out.
So can it fly pretty flat?
Yeah, actually flies pretty good.
Let's see if we can bring it around a little closer. Because it's so itty bitty, it's hard to see. This thing has only got about a 12-inch, 13-inch wingspan. There we go. Now we can see it.
This thing is kind of fast. Ready, full throttle. This thing is really cool. It's definitely a really cool little beginner plane. If you want to get into flying, or your kids into flying.
I think it really floats, doesn't it?
It's very floaty. Like, this is no throttle.
Yeah. It seems like if you got it up pretty high, you could glide it down for a while.
It's kind of hard to...
So what do you think about the steering?
It's very different.
It's quite different than playing with ailerons or flying with a rudder.
Because I'm used to like flying like the volantexrc P51 Mustang and the Corsair. Controls are way different. I'm just gonna fly out like low throttle, so I don't go up too high and don't lose it. I'm just gonna lower up a little bit. There we go. Oh, yeah.
I wondered if that was going to happen.
Take off.
You want to try like a scale takeoff?
Yeah.
All right. So you can see it does take quite a bit to get up in there. Was that full throttle?
Yeah, that was full throttle.
So full throttle.
This is low throttle, so it flies straight. You can see that when it's in the middle, it flies straight.
Okay, yeah. So no controls, it automatically flies straight.
See if you give it up, like more throttle, it'll like start going up higher. So this is like basically like no elevator, because your elevator is your throttle.
So why don't you do like full left? See what it does. So it flies in a relatively tight circle.
It's actually not too bad steering. Like, that bad.
It's pretty controllable. Why don't you because we don't have elevator, why don't you do full down?
Yeah, that's no throttle, so now it starts coming down.
So we're basically letting go of the throttle and it'll drop down, right?
Yeah, then you have to see, it's kind of scary here. Let me bring it down here, no throttle, just gliding.
Yeah, so that's basically how we bring it down, with letting off the throttle.
That was kind of nice.
Nice little landing.
Let me go grab it.
This thing does pretty good. We're about to find out the actual fly time. We're kind of thinking that we should be able to get at least 10 minutes. And it's like super quiet. The controls are quite different than a regular airplane, obviously, because it doesn't have ailerons, it doesn't have rudder or elevator. It's using differential thrust to gain altitude and to turn. So the left stick does throttle, but it also adjusts the elevation. So you get a little bit more throttle, you go up in elevation, and then the left stick, instead of doing elevation and ailerons like you would in a regular controller, it's just giving you the left and the right turning. So it's kind of similar to a standard plane, but See, Mason's flying it one-handed, so you can just set the throttle, and it'll fly pretty flat. And you could just fly it one-handed, which sure does make it really easy for a beginner. Ah, there we go. We landed. Let's do another scale takeoff here. Woohoo! So as you can see, that's full throttle. It takes quite a bit for it to get off the ground. It takes a little while. Of course, it has wheels up front, but it doesn't have wheels in the back. It's just plastic, so
it's kind of taking a little funky.
it does drag quite a bit on the ground.
Look at that. This is a really nice little plane. Make sure to bring it over here. It does take like very long turns.
Do you feel like it takes a while for it to respond? Or
Yeah,
do you think it responds pretty quickly?
It takes about a split, probably a second for it to finally
to do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Unlike ailerons, like a standard plane.
Right?
Oh, look! I would say that's a successful
that's a
landing.
Nice landing. Check out the next.
Do you have any final thoughts on this plane? What would you consider this plane if you gave it a rating out of 10? I'd say the landing gear is not great.
It's not that good. I don't know. It's a $38 plane. This is basically, you can't expect much. It's just a cool little plane.
It's definitely fun. Do you feel like for around $40, it's a lot of fun?
Yeah, definitely. It's really cool. It is kind of sketchy when it starts getting close to the trees.
Yeah, because you don't have a crazy amount of control.
Yeah,
right. Right. But in bigger open spaces like this, it's kind of nice because you don't have to make any quick reactions, and so the controls are just fine.
Also, another thing is we did a flight test, or test flight, and we broke the fake propeller on the front. So if you're wondering why it doesn't have a propeller on there, that's why we covered it with some flight test red tape.
I think it looks pretty good all red, though. It sort of looks like that's the way it's supposed to look.
Or better to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go again?
If you want to fly again, why don't we end this one here because we're around 7 minutes. If you have anything else you want to say about that cool little plane.
It's definitely a really good plane if you're a beginner. Voltex makes warbirds, little differential thrust warbirds, which are pretty similar to this. All in all, this thing's a really good little tiny plane. It flies really good.